So what do you do when you've just had your bike done up? Send it down the road? Obviously there's a story here and I'm going to tell it in this video, so stick around. So followers of this project series that we're doing with this bike will know that we have got a phenomenal track bike in our Suzuki GSXR1000 superstock machine. In the last episode, we put the icing on the cake with a custom Knox livery that we did in conjunction with Sublime Designs. So what did I do? I went out to celebrate a Croft track day a couple of months ago and basically binned it within 5 laps of the first session. What an absolute nightmare. So this video is about what happened, the mistakes that I made, the lessons learned, and what I'm doing going forward. Hopefully this video resonates with a few of you guys who maybe have done the same or hopefully won't get into the same place what I got into. So it'd been a really long winter here in the UK, and previous to this first track day at Croft, it'd been about 5 months actually since we've been on track with it in Portimao, which was episode 2 of this series, and it was just a phenomenal 3-day track experience at Portimao. And this was meant to be the first session or first track day that we were having in the UK, which was in April in Croft. All was going well. It was actually my first time at Croft. I'd never ridden it before. We'd done the sighting laps and we were just getting on to ride in our first session. I thought the pace in front was a little bit slow in terms of the riders that I was riding with. And I'd felt the tyres move a couple of times on the front. It had some movement, and the rear didn't seem a huge amount of grip either. So, and it was about 5 degrees. So I had this idea. I needed to go a bit faster to get some more heat in my Dunlop slicks that I'd been using at Portimao. Anyway, so I'd eyed up this overtake, going luckily into the slowest corner at Croft, which is the hairpin. And sort of barreled into this corner, a bit heavier on the brakes, and overtook the next 2 guys in front of me. And then basically it just went totally wrong. I trail braking a bit, and basically the front just gone, just totally washed out. I went down really heavily on my side, and then proceeded to get ran over Graham Jarvis log hop style by the following 2 riders, all 200 kilos of bike plus rider weight. It's all a little bit fuzzy, but basically I was properly winded. I may have even been knocked out a little bit and struggled to sort of crawl off the track. Then the medics came and sorted me out. The result, a broken rib or 2, and basically ripped the finger nail of my little finger off, got ripped right out the nail bed and needed medical attention for that. What a rookie mistake. Now luckily the bike didn't roll over, it didn't tip, it just sort of slid down the track. So luckily the damage to the bike was actually pretty minimal. It cost about £80 to get it back up to scratch. I think there was a new lever, a new clutch lever as well, some tarting up of different things and some straightening of fasteners and so on, but the damage to the bike wasn't very much at all. What I will say is that the GB Racing engine covers did a fantastic job of protecting the crankcase cover. They are quite ground down, but you can see that they did a really, really fantastic job of saving the motor and saving, fluids and things running out. So they're very highly recommended, and I'll certainly be using them going forwards. So now I've got 5 lessons that I've learned that I'm going to share with you. And the first one is listen to people who've got much more experience than you. So as I'm sliding down the track and I've just crashed, I can literally hear John McGuinness in my ear telling me from a couple of years ago not to go out full chat on cold tyres.
Rounds together, and I was like, come on, let's go then. So You're out of the traps like a madman. I was like, whoa, he's out of the traps fast here with a cold tyre.
Too fast.
A little bit too fast for me. Yeah, you sort of dropped me, and I was like, I'm just going to give myself a lap or two just to get everything to work and the brakes and everything up to temperature. And you were gone. I was like, oh my God, I've got my workout here. And what I was saying to you before about going fast, straight away, I've done that as well. So I broke my collarbone at Croft doing the same thing on a 5-blade a lot of years ago. So I've learned the lesson, and I don't want you to do it. It's got a hot day. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to stick the EBGBs up. I've seen it, and I've experienced it myself, and I've seen it on track so many times. I've been on loads of these and do some at Knockhill with Neil Mackenzie, and it can be cold up at Knockhill in Scotland, and you see them go whizzing out of the pits, and they're upside down, and your day's over.
It's not enjoyment then, is it?
I feel sorry for them because you paid your money, you've got your bike, everybody's excited, bish bosh, bike's done, you're on your way home, and it's like the penalty don't fit the crime. We won't be doing it anyway. We're not going to be doing that.
And point taken. Well, here I am. I've done exactly what John really specifically told me not to do, and I'm here with broken rib and really poorly finger. I think sometimes in motorcycling, we just really need to really listen to people who have got much more experience than us, have been there, had the injuries, and have worn the t-shirt themselves. In this track game, it's all too easy just to get overconfident. You just get wrapped up in the day, going faster. But at the end of the day, when you're on track, we're going at such high speeds. The motorcycles are ridiculously powerful. They're big and heavy, and it is very easy ultimately to go off and hurt yourself. So basically, a bit of wisdom goes a long way in this track game. Lesson number 2, ripping my fingernail out hurt like hell. Now, when I come back from the crash, I was speaking to some of my friends, and they were saying that they'd had broken ribs, and they said, look, the pain of a broken rib is unbelievable. Well, I've had a broken rib from this crash, and I'll tell you what, it was totally eclipsed by just this little pinky finger. It's unbelievable. So when it got ripped out, I actually needed to go to hospital because they needed to clean it out right under the nail bed and reinsert it back in. I'm telling you what, it hurt so much. I was holding onto that poor nurse's hand for dear life as they're doing stuff to my finger, and I'm looking at her, I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can't look at that. I'm staring exactly at you, because it was just really, really painful, basically. Also, I was due the next weekend to go to the KTM 890 SMT launch over in Sardinia, which I did go and do, but I put a motorcycle glove on that was 1 or 2 sizes bigger than what I would normally wear. But I have to say, after a full day's riding out there, my finger was absolutely throbbing, and all the bandage was really bloody, and it just wasn't a very nice experience. So yes, this little finger really hurt. Lesson number 3, make sure your tyres are right. Now, going on to performance race tyre does take you down a certain rabbit hole in terms of performance, and the more race orientated you go, the narrower the operating windows are of your tyres. Now, the tyres that I'd used at Portimao were a KR slick on the front in MS3 compound and a Moto 2 rear. And at Portimao in 30-degree heat on an abrasive track, they were absolutely sensational. And I had built up such a confidence in those slick tyres. They were just phenomenal. Never had a single moment at Portimao. Unbelievable. Well, that didn't really translate to a 5-degree cold and slightly dewy Croft track day in mid-April. It just didn't. And seemingly I had like little to no grip, because going into some of those corners, I had the front moving, and I trail braked significantly harder than when I had my crash before on those tyres. But they just didn't work, basically. So I actually reached out to Dunlop to ask them whether I was on the correct compound of tyre, and they told me that when I was running them at Portimao, they were literally the perfect compound. At Portimao, you've got a really abrasive track and you're in a hot ambient temperature. So the MS3 front is fantastic for that kind of track and those kind of conditions. And the Moto2 rear obviously is fantastic as well. But that really didn't translate to a cold UK track day. So I should have been using an MS1 or an MS2 front instead of an MS3 front. Well, obviously the difference is massive. So that is very much a lesson going forward, to match your tyres to the conditions that you're running. And I think for me, and certainly as I build my confidence back up going forwards, I'm going to be using tyres that I've got a lot of experience on and that I know from my own point of view work in the UK. For me, that's a Dunlop D212 GP Racer pair, and I'm either going to go soft front or medium front and the endurance rear. I've ran quite a few sets of those tyres and I know them to work really well in all of the conditions that I found in the UK. So stick to what you know and make sure your tyres are right for those conditions. If we do go overseas again and we're on a hot track that's abrasive like Portimao, yeah, probably I'll have a look at KR slicks again in those harder compounds that I chose before. But for the UK, I'm sticking to what I know. Lesson number 4 is my protective gear worked incredibly well. Now, in terms of my little finger, basically I got my little finger trapped beneath the handlebar and the asphalt with the bike and the bike's weight dragging it down the asphalt. Now I was wearing the Knox Handroid Mark IV gloves. We actually now have a Mark V derivative as well. And you know, generally speaking, the gloves did a fantastic job of protecting my hands. But in fairness, there's not really any glove that we could ever make that would protect against that kind of injury. Point loading a 200 kilo motorcycle onto your little finger and dragging it down the road, it's just basically impossible to protect against that kind of injury, even though the gloves are probably the most protective that you can get on the marketplace. What I will say is that I'm considering going forward actually putting a clutch lever guard onto the clutch side of the handlebar, because I almost feel like my hand would be less likely to fall off and get trapped under the handlebar. I don't know whether any of you guys watching have done that modification to your bike. I think it would work, but please let us know in the comment section if you think that's a good idea for this type of incident going forwards. What really did save the day actually was my Knox Aegis back protector. Now, to be run over by the following two motorcycles, 200 kilos plus rider weight, slamming into your body, one in the middle of my back and one at the top of my back, and only to walk away with a broken rib, is absolutely phenomenal levels of protection, certainly in my opinion. And you know, I've got a lot to be thankful for with this back protector. Now, we obviously do softer standalone back protectors too. We've got the Microlock Air back protector, but certainly in regards to this incident, I was really glad of the extra rigidity, the big coverage of the back protector, and just the overall performance of it. And look, the proof is in the pudding, because it really, really did stop me getting much bigger injuries, certainly than what you would think with getting run over by two motorcycles. So, you know, this is a really, really top-notch product, this. I was also wearing my Knox Action Pro shorts. Now, I always wear these, whether I'm riding enduro, whether I'm riding on track, pretty much any sort of performance motorcycling, I'll wear the Action Pro shorts. And what they do is offer a massive amount of thigh protection and hip protection. Now, often in leather suits and things, you haven't got dedicated thigh and hip protection, so I always add this on. You know, you're slamming onto the side. That's certainly what I did at Croft. And these products, this Action Pro shorts, definitely added to my lack of injury on the day. And of course I've got my Knox leather suit as well. That's a custom one, we don't sell them, but we did have them made, and the leather suit did a fantastic job. I've put Knox Microlock armour in all of the knees, elbows and shoulders, and that certainly helped as well. And now I've got the added benefit of having a few scuff marks on the suit which make me look like a proper racer. So I'm going to keep this suit and I'm going to keep wearing it, and when I fly past people they'll know, oh God, he's quick, he's been down the road a couple of times. So what I'm going to do is put all the links in the description for all the gear that I use to protect myself on test, and then you can go and find them as well and pick them up and add them into your kit bag for when you're next on track. But ultimately the proof in the pudding is that I was able to go to that KTM launch about 7 days after the crash, go and ride that bike, go and do my job, and yeah, a little bit tentative, but I was able to go out there and do that, and I owe that all down to the kit that I was using. Lesson number 5, get back on the horse and learn from the experience. Now, it's always going to be difficult following an incident like this. Your confidence is shot to pieces. You think, and it goes through your head, what am I doing? Am I just, you know, is this just too dangerous? Am I kidding myself? What am I doing? You know, all these thoughts go through your head. You know, am I a good enough rider to be on track? These things are going to be going through your head. Guarantee it, because it certainly did mine. But the way actually I chose to move forward was to get back on the bike quite quickly and learn from the experience. So specifically what I did is I booked back in the month later, and I booked that with Dean Ellison, who's an expert rider coach here in the UK. He's like an ex-World Superbike rider, an ex-British Superbike rider as well. And booked in for a day's coaching with him at Snetterton. And yes, I started that day really ginger on the bike, feeling really tight, really worried about what I was doing. But by the end of the day, with Dean's coaching and him building me back up, I actually got to the point where I was going quicker there than I've ever been before. And I was much smoother, much safer, and ultimately faster as well. So Dean's coaching, plus getting back on there and just building my confidence, was definitely the right thing to do in that circumstance. What I've also done is follow that up with quite a lot of enduro riding, and I've just literally just come back from a 2-day UK road trip track day session where we did Snetterton again and Brands GP. Now all of that together over the last month or so has just been a phenomenal experience. So if you've had a crash like this, or you're thinking, you know, what would I do after a crash? Getting back on the horse, getting back on it and learning from your experiences is definitely the right way to go. So look, really hope this video has resonated with you guys. Hopefully you can take away something from it. You know, we can all learn something. So hopefully there's a few nuggets in this video to help you guys out. Or maybe you've been through the same thing that I've been through, and you can put it in the comment section. So what I'm going to do is leave all the links for the gear that I'm using to protect myself on test. Please like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.